Hello, sports fans. You are listening to Beyond Debatable, the podcast that covers all things sports. I'm your host, Michael Rachel, and on the other side of the camera is Jack, the stat man Cudahy.
What's up, Mike? How you guys doing?
I'm good.
Yeah.
Also joined today, once again, Aram, a.k.a. Wade County.
Hello, Jack.
Malik.
Hello, Mike.
Hello. And he's here to talk about his team, more importantly, his favorite player, Dwyane Wade. The Miami Heat taking Game 2 and splitting the series with the Philadelphia 76ers. Before we start, make sure to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel right below. Follow us on Twitter at Beyond Debatable for our live tweets during the NBA playoffs. So let's jump right in. So after the 76ers overcame a 4-point halftime deficit in Game 1 to win by a convincing score of 130-103, Miami Heat bounced back to take Game 2 in Philly, 113-103, to even the series heading back to Miami. Dwyane Wade, had a flashback in Game 2. He led the way for Miami coming off the bench with 28 points, 7 rebounds, and 3 assists, just 26 minutes of action. So, Jack, take me through what Dwyane Wade did in Game 2 that impressed you the most.
Well, the real difference in his game the real difference here between the regular season and Game 2 was he just shot better from the mid-range. He hit 7 out of 9 shots from the deep mid-range area, like right inside the three-point line. And he did a really good job of creating space in isolation situations, which honestly Miami needs. They don't have a lot of guys that can do that. They have a lot of guys that can do a lot of other things, defend, pass, move. They don't have someone other than him that can really create their own shot, in my opinion. It's just he needs to do that for them in late game situations when the game bogs down. You need someone to create that shot when defenses lock in. I don't know if it's sustainable, though, because on the season from the same areas where he shot 7 for 9, in which led him to have a 10 for 16 field goal stat line, he shot 33% there in the regular season. I don't know if he can continue that. However, I don't think Miami has a choice, and they need to start playing him more, because if he can continue playing this way, Philadelphia has a real series on their hands, because he can get his own shot still whenever he wants. It's clear. Arm, what do you think?
Well, to start, so I don't think it's much of a flashback or a vintage game, really. If it was a vintage game, he would have probably 40 points, and it'd be mostly dunks and layups. Like you said, it was all deep mid-range jumpers, which he just recently acquired. But on your note, where I honestly wasn't too surprised, because I've watched him his entire career, and this is something he does in every playoffs. If you go back 2 years, the last time he was in the playoffs with Miami, if any of you guys remember when he dropped 38 against Toronto. This was just 2 years ago when he was 34.
Yeah.
And then back-to-back games, he had 30 points. And that was after Whiteside went down. He had 38. Then he had 30 to lead them to a win. In the series before that against Charlotte, he hit 2 clutch threes. He had to hit a three in 27 straight shots, and then he was perfect in the playoffs for a good while, if you remember that crazy streak. But
what happened to Chicago?
He was not too bad. In Chicago, he averaged about 16 points in the playoffs. But
did they get swept?
No, they lost to 6.
6?
He had 2 25-point games. I mean, he had 1 2-point game, which kind of ruined his stats. But in big moments, he's always showed up. So for me, I'm not really shocked to see it. So I don't know, but it was pretty cool to watch.
I bet.
I think I think he needs to play for this team to have a chance in the series. I think he needs to continue to play like he did in Game 2. I think considering his Game 1 and Game 2 performance, comparing the two, I think it's imperative that he needs to play.
Yeah, so actually when at the end of the third quarter in that game, or the end of the third quarter, beginning of the fourth, he looked like you could tell he was kind of tired. So then when Spoelstra took him back out, he came back in at the end of the game, and he completely took over that game at the end of the game. So I'm not sure if more minutes would I would say probably around like 28 minutes a game would be good for him. That's what I think.
Mhm.
But I certainly think he's going to come and do it again. And that was on the road. He's much better at American Airlines Arena. So
One of my big. Oh wait, do you want to
Go ahead, Jack. Finish it up.
No, I just have a kind of a thing that I've been thinking about. I wonder because Wade. I might be jumping the gun here, but I wonder how Wade and Whiteside are going to be able to play on the floor together in this series because Whiteside hasn't gotten a lot of minutes so far, and Wade. I think both of them need to play. The problem is they're both non-shooters, like in terms of 3-point range. And Miami isn't exactly stacked in terms of shooting. Outside of Wayne Ellington and Kelly Olynyk, like they don't have a ton of 3-point shooters.
Jay Rich can shoot too.
Jay Rich can shoot, yeah, a little bit. But I mean, they're always going to have one of those James Johnson, Justice Winslow types in there as well with those lineups. Can you create enough space to run a functional offense that way? Or do you have to stagger their minutes so that they play when the other one's off the floor? I don't know how that would work.
I think Miami should play them at the same time and sit them at the same time. I'm fine with Whiteside not getting that many minutes against the smaller Ersan and smaller Sarge because honestly, he's a defensive liability. He's just sitting in the paint and Sarge is getting wide.
If you're going to play Whiteside, you should use Whiteside. Like they put Whiteside in on defense and then offense, they don't even attack it.
Right. So I think you should only play Whiteside when Wade's in the game because Dragic does not understand how to play with Whiteside.
Yeah, so like he missed so many lobs. Yeah.
Right, so when Wade plays, which
Wade's
is
a very
20
good
to 30 minutes a game, Whiteside should play the same way. But when Embiid comes back, if he does come back, I do think he will be forced to play Whiteside more, and he knows that.
Yeah. So, I mean, even Wade in the first game, he did shoot well, but the difference was in game 2 was a lot more aggressive. But even you saw right when he came in, Whiteside was in, they immediately had a lob, which was there all game, actually. Whenever Goran had it, he had a lob, but Goran never throws the lob.
Right. Mm-hmm. Which kind of, and defensively, Whiteside.
Like Ersan and Dario, they cannot guard Whiteside.
No, I agree. But putting Whiteside on Dario was a bad idea. Whiteside should have been on Ersan that whole game. Yeah, because Dario's more of a stretch than Ersan. Ersan can hit the 3 and hits the 3 really well, but he's not as quick as Dario, and Dario gets his own shot. Ersan more kind of like end of shot clock fadeaways. Yeah. So I would have liked to seen Whiteside on Ersan rather than on Saric. But yeah, I'm with Arm on this one, playing with Wade. All right, so let's move on to Embiid. So 76ers lost game 2 at home, and Embiid immediately took to Instagram. And he said that he's effing sick and tired of being babied. So Jack, I don't really want to get into the Embiid personally thing because everybody's talking about Embiid, but I want your thoughts on if this inexperienced team could let the outside expectations get to them against the Heat, both on the court and off the court.
A little bit. I think that's happening, and I think that's where Miami can kind of close the series. Philadelphia's been riding this hype train since the end of the season. I mean, they ended on a 16-game winning streak where they played like a ton of tanking teams. It was still very impressive without Embiid, but they've been everyone's like sexy, underdog pick in these.
Was Miami the last team to beat them?
Yeah,
I think so. Yeah,
they beat them 2 times in the last month.
Mm-hmm. So, I am always a little bit wary of inexperienced players coming into the playoffs because it's the regular season and the playoffs are different games. Different players elevate their games. Different players honestly shrink in the moment, and different players have to adjust based off of what the playoffs demand in terms of just offensive and defensive tendencies, scouting reports, all that. I like the instinct from Embiid to be competitive. I think there's less and less of that in the NBA now, and I really like that he wants to play. The Sixers, though, need to keep in mind that this year is really not that important. This is about the next 10 to 15 years with Embiid, and we can't...
No, there's expectations of finals.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. But clearly, I think we can all sit here and agree that Embiid's future is more important than the present year. Like, we're talking about a guy too that played 31 games in the first 3 years in the league. He's still a major injury risk. Just because he played 60 games doesn't mean that went away. If you're Philadelphia's staff, you're not just going to let him play through something because he said something. Like, Philadelphia's had all these injury concerns. I don't think it's smart for them to rush Embiid back, even if it might give them a better chance to win this particular series. I don't think it's smart because I just get flashbacks to Derrick Rose. Remember in Chicago when he got injured, that other torn ACL? I think it was the second one.
Well, he took so long to come back. He took almost 2 years to come back.
Well, Embiid's taken.
I mean, Embiid.
But it's not like Rose. Rose, he didn't rush his injury. He took too long. Everyone thought. Remember?
Yeah, but you almost trust coming back from a well-known injury more than Embiid's multiple.
Yeah.
Because there's more experience in ACLs than there is in Embiid. What was it? The knee?
Ankle? He just cleared concussion protocol.
No. I'm talking about from a year and a half ago.
Right.
I mean, plus big men with those injuries are like much more fragile, honestly, than guards. Like we saw with Greg Oden, like that guy just fell apart. I'm
not even concerned about.
You have a great player. If you lose him because of injuries, that would.
Yeah, I'm not focusing on the face contusion that he currently has. I'm more speaking of playing. What Jack said, 90 games in 3 years, something like that. And this year being
31 in his first 3 years in the league.
Well, including this. Okay, yeah.
Fine, 90-4. That's still not a good ratio. That's
right, exactly. Yeah. So I think it's a bigger picture than just the face contusion.
That's true.
I mean, he just started playing back-to-backs. What, halfway through the year?
Not even like that. He has not played a lot of minutes this year at all. Yeah,
I mean, he's been very good in the minutes he's played, but
he has. Yeah,
like Joel Embiid's been saying, you got to trust the process. You just have to. All right. Predictions.
All right.
I'll leave Arm for last. Okay. Jack, go for it.
Okay. I wish we could have talked about Philly a little bit more because I thought it would.
Do you want to talk about it a little bit?
Just a little bit, yeah. We don't have to go.
Let's keep it brief.
I still, even though they're inexperienced, they're the team. They're the wild card of these playoffs. If they can get past this Heat team, which is going to be a really good test for them specifically, and get to Boston or Milwaukee, which will most likely be Boston at this point, they can really gain a head of steam going into those conference finals because they're better than Boston right now, especially if Embiid comes back. Talent-wise, they're up there. They have a really nice supporting cast of pieces, especially three-point shooting. Bellinelli, Redick, Saric, Ilyasova all space the floor really well for those two superstars. And now that Markelle Fultz is back, they have enough talent and shot creation. I really like their team. I think this is going to be a good test because I think Miami can handle them, but I want to see how they react in Game 3 on the road. I think that's going to be
this series is. I mean, Miami doesn't have much experience either, other than Dwyane Wade, in the playoffs. So I'm thinking if they split down in Miami and it goes 2-2, the last 3 games of these playoffs could be very ugly. It's just a bunch of inexperienced people playing big minutes, and then Dwyane Wade.
I don't think they're inexperienced.
Miami?
They all played 14 games 2 years ago. Is that inexperienced?
I mean, okay. Successful playoff results.
They won the first series, made the 7 against Toronto.
All right, that's pretty good. I'll give you that. But as far as Philly goes, for sure, they haven't had any experience. So they could play some tight basketball down the stretch. And I really don't trust Kelly Olynyk to put up 25 a game in Game 6 and 7.
Olynyk's been good.
He's been good, but I don't expect him to stay it up Game 5, 6, 7. So, Jack, predictions.
I have the Sixers winning this in 6. I'm not very confident, though. I don't know. I think they're more talented for sure. I just don't trust young teams with point guards that can't shoot.
And then do you think Embiid comes back?
I don't think they'll let him come back, no.
Embiid? I think he will be back.
Both. Okay. What game? Game 3?
Game. I'm assuming
he's been cleared.
After that comment, I'm assuming
he's been cleared.
I'm assuming he's going to force his way back.
And your prediction?
All right. I So you said in 6, which that means that they would have to win 1 in Miami, and they would have to close out in Miami.
So 2.
Well, let's check. Yeah, they're not going to do that. That's not going to happen. Wade's not going to let that happen.
We'll see.
We will see. There are going to be a lot of close games, and when they're close games, I think the advantage would go to Miami because Miami has the closer, and they have the experience with them. And Dwyane Wade will show up big. They're going to win. They're going to win 6.
So you got Miami in 6.
Mm-hmm.
I'll take Philly in 7. All right. Let us know what you guys think in the comments. Like, subscribe, follow us on Twitter. Beyond Debatable. We'll be tweeting about the playoffs, especially Game 3 between Philly and Miami, which will be Thursday night. Thursday night. Thanks to Aram, Wade County, Malik. Finally got the insight as to why we call him Wade County. And he's the guy on the other side of the camera, Jack the Stat Man Cudahy. And I'm Michael Rachel. And you've been listening to Beyond Debatable.